don't believe a word I say. I truly mean this when I say it. I want you to test things for yourself. Someone labeled me as a fitness influencer, and maybe I am, but I don't want to be. I don't have any products to sell. I don't have any programs to sell. If I'm going to influence people, I'm going to do it through just me sharing about what I've learned. And instead of me actually trying to get you to do what I want you to do, I'm going to relay information to people. I want to talk about principles of physics. I want to talk about principles of physiology. What my experience has taught me with myself, with clients. I'm in the fitness industry, and I think the fitness industry is super toxic because of fitness influencing, where we're all fighting over one another. Well, I have the answers. No, I have the answer. It's kettlebells, it's barbells, it's Olympic lifting, it's powerlifting, it's insane. Whereas I said in one of the videos, I said, you can get fit doing anything. It doesn't necessarily mean that that thing that is being done is the safest, most optimal way of doing things. I'm not claiming that I have that answer. I refer people to Jay Vincent and Drew Bay because from my experience, I've found that training that way, the way that I train today, and maybe that will change tomorrow, is the safest, most effective way of getting to my goals. And so when someone makes a video about me and says that I'm a fitness influencer, I don't know if I should be offended or if I should be honored, right? But I don't want on this channel to be influence anybody. So when I say don't believe a word that I say, I mean it. I'm trying to get people to think for themselves. Take what I'm saying, my experience, and test it. Try someone else's program. Look at the actual textbooks and start to find out these physiological principles instead of just parroting what other people say. That's why this channel is called The Fit Philosopher. I know fit is in the first thing, but I was just in comments talking about, what is fitness? Right? And he was like, I don't even think strength and building muscle are part of fitness. I'm like, well, what have we been arguing about? It's like, what are we talking about when we say fitness? If we can't even define it, I don't want to be part of it. I just want to have a channel that I can talk about things. And I talk about all sorts of different things that relate to health, not just fitness, but to health, to mental health, to politics, to religion, to God, to all. I want this channel for me. I just want it to be a place that I can talk. Okay. And so if you get influenced, then hey, great. If it helps you, I'm not out here trying to get people to think my way. I'm trying to get people to think in general. If I'm going to be guilty of influencing, I want to influence people to ask more questions and to think for themselves, because I know what I did. I used to watch something, I used to read something, and I would just parrot that information back. I didn't test it. As soon as I got the information that I agreed with, oh, that sounds right, that sounds like what I'm doing, I would just go out and tell the world about it. And I would parrot that information. I see a lot of that in these comments. They're not getting into physiological reasons why they have their opinion. They're just telling me that I'm wrong and they're right. They're doing the same things that they're accusing me of. They're saying, you're arrogant, you think that you know all the answers, and they're doing the same thing, telling me that I'm wrong. And I go, okay, hey, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm saying that this is my experience, and that if you're gonna look and examine things under the principles that I'm talking about, physics, physiology, the mechanisms of these things, this is just what it says. It's not my opinion on some of these things. I'm just relaying information to people and trying to get people to look at it in another way. So yes, maybe I am influencing people, but I'm not gonna come out with exercise programs. I'm not going to come out with products and things. If I get lucky enough that people want to sponsor me and then I can share, it's only going to be things that I personally use. So it's again going to come from a point of view of, hey, I use these things and I get this benefit. Try it. If you like it, great. If not, not great. If that happens one day, and who knows? I mean, who knows if I'll ever grow anymore. But what again, it's just, this channel is me. I'm the Fit Philosopher, all right? I know it's a cringy, stupid name, but I just want this channel to be about me. So when I say, again, don't believe a word I say. I truly mean that. I want to ask more questions. That's the philosophy side of things. I want to get people to think. And instead of just parroting things, test things out. When I started, whenever I do anything different, whenever I change anything in my program, because I am a personal trainer and I'm in the fitness industry and I influence my clients, I have to, but I again, in this YouTube world and social media world, again, I would love to I guess, have the privilege to be called a fitness influencer, but I don't want to be limited to that. So I test things myself before I ever implement things. I trained using the principles that I found from Mark Asanovich and Jay Vincent and Drew Bay and Doug McGuff. I started training differently. I kind of stripped away my program and started doing some of these different things of super slow, of less overall volume, more time under tension on the muscle, one set to failure. Those principles, I started training like that. I did it for a year before I started doing it with my clients. And so I don't just go into things and say, oh, well, this is the gospel because it sounds right. And it did sound right to me at the time. And that's why I started training like that. Because I stopped watching influencing videos. I stopped watching YouTube videos. I stopped, reading books on health and physiology. And I just tried to make sense of it myself from, again, these basic principles of physiology and physics. And so I was like, okay, what makes sense? And I try to get rid of all the BS, because there's something that you have to do when you get certified as a personal trainer is you have to have continuing education units, CEUs. To keep your certification current, you have to get new information. So I was always looking for new information. Every freaking year or 2 years, my whole programs would change because I would find some new information, and this is the best thing. And I was exhausted doing that, because I was like, there has to be some overarching thing that connects all of these different programs, whether it's kettlebells, whether it's barbells, whether it's machines, whether it's super slow, whether it's explosive. What connects all of these things? And that's what I've started to find, and that's what I want to relay to people is you can skin a cat many different ways. You can do things using all sorts of pieces of equipment, doing different styles of training, 1 set to failure, 10 sets. I mean, everything in between. What are the principles? What fits along with your personality? What are you going to come back to? But for me, I'm looking for optimal. I'm looking for safe. I'm looking for, again, certain things. And so when I find something like that, I want to share and talk about that. And so the principles that go along with these things, that comes down to physiology. It's not my opinion. So if I'm going to influence people, it would be look at those things instead of trying to latch on to the next hottest thing because it's new. And if you try it, you are going to get results because it's something new. You're going to have some experiences. If you can use that in your journey, great. I know that I make the stuff that could be sensational and it sounds like I'm knocking things. I'm knocking it being the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm trying to make everything under one roof and say, hey, okay, these are the principles. Knowing that, what would you then choose to get to a certain goal? Jay Vincent has a great example. You could clean your kitchen floor with a toothbrush. Is that an effective way of doing it? No. Wouldn't you rather use a mop? That's all. So yeah, people are out there and they love cleaning their floor with a toothbrush. I look at it and I say, I think that's kind of silly. That's, and if I was going to do that with clients, it would not be a good strategy. I don't want to take the long road. I don't want to, do all that. I'd rather use a mop. I'd rather use a tool that's going to get the job done effectively. So I'm not trying to influence people in my way of thinking only because I've failed so many times. I've tried lots of different things. I see through a lot of this stuff now because I've done that. I've been the one that parroted these pieces of information without looking at the actual physiological principles. I'm guilty of it, and that's why I can speak on these things like I'm speaking on. And that's the thing that I want to bring to people's attention. I want to say, hey, I want to ask questions. I want to say, hey, have you looked at these physiological principles? Here's what I've learned. And I want to share that with people so that they can not make the same mistakes that I'm making. And when I say, don't believe a word I say, I truly mean it. Test it for yourself. Try these things out for yourself. Instead of arguing with me, that's fine. We can argue, right? But you got to come with the receipts. You got to come with the actual principles that go below just the surface level of someone who looks good and gets results. Hey, I could give you 50 different programs with people that get results with themselves and with clients. Which one's right? They're all going to say they're right. That's why I'm not going to sell anything. I'm not going to tell you that my program is the best because I don't have one. I want to get people to think about things in a basic level that they can apply it to any program that they choose. If they really enjoy training a certain way and that's what they want to do, great. Know that there's risks and there's advantages and disadvantages that come along with that. And that's all I'm trying to express through these things. When I talk about different things of health and physiology, I'm just a health and fitness and strength training. When I talk about that stuff, because I like to talk about all sorts of things. Again, remember, this is just my little channel here. I want to relay those things so that people can think for themselves and they can understand what they're doing. And I think the problem with fitness influencing is that nobody takes accountability. Nobody says, they don't look at things because they have a bottom line. The guy who made this video against me, responding to me or taking my video apart, he sells kettlebell programs. He sells merchandise with his name on it. He has to protect his bottom line. But there lies the problem. When you have something behind you and you've made all the success, you can't then turn around and say, hey, it's not the best thing. I get it, but I don't want to be a part of that. And that's why I'm not going to come out with programs. I'm going to recommend certain things, but to use it as not the gospel, as a guide. Make everything your own. When I started doing that, that's when I really started to get it. I started to understand deeper because I wasn't just doing a cookie cutter thing. I was making sure that it had to do with what the results I was getting, what I was, going to continue doing, how I was responding to things. And I think that's the key. If you're getting super results with things, by all means. But if the physiological principles say that with that, you're taking on more risk, don't then come around and say that there's no risk and that it's safe. If the physiology said just because you're getting certain results doesn't mean that that is a safe way of doing things based off of physiological principles and laws of physics. These aren't theories, they're laws. They've been tested and retested over and over again. I don't need a research study. I know that sounds arrogant. I don't need a research study to relay a law of physics because those things were done years and years ago. Some of them centuries ago, they figured this stuff out. Use that information for your benefit. When I say things, don't just trust me because it's just my opinion. Use that information, make it fit into your lifestyle. Test it. So I challenge you to test these things, to look at them and uncover them. Peel that onion back and find what's at that center. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to challenge people. I want to ask more questions and I want to stimulate people. I'm a fitness stimulator, all right? How about that? Versus a fitness influencer. But that's where I'm coming from. I might make another video on this just to reiterate it, but I don't want, if that's what it means to be a fitness influencer, I don't want to be a part of that. I want to talk about all sorts of things on this channel, and that's really all I got for you today. Thanks.